What's cooler than a Jungle King? Jungle Hunt, of course. It's 1200 XL, episode 17. Hi, everybody. Welcome to 1200 XL. I'm John.
And I'm Aaron.
And today, Aaron, we're going to be talking about Jungle Hunt.
Oh, yeah.
Aaron, have you ever espoused to be a big game hunter?
God, no. Oh, Lord, no. I'm too big a coward. I also don't like to get sweaty. And also, you ever walk out? We don't have a jungle here,
No.
but we got the deep woods, right? You got in the deep woods around here. So what's going on right now? Ticks, right?
Yeah.
Ticks to beat the band, big nasty ones. And so I'm thinking to myself, if we can get ticks out in the backyard, right, in the woods, think of the crap you can get when you're in the jungle. You know, ticks as big as your head. Those weird things that swim around the water, and you get in there and they crawl up in you. You know, those leeches that get on top of you and stuff. Like, I don't want to be a part of that. Plus, they wear those pith helmets, right? When I was in the band, our arch enemy was this band called Vincent High School Marching Band. And they wore pith helmets, and they looked like a bunch of geeks. And I hate those guys. They weren't wearing cool pink plastic cowboy hats with feathers in them like we were.
That's right. They didn't have the cool uniforms.
We're pimping the nation back in those days. That's something Snoop Dogg might be able to pull off. So, yeah, none of those things add up to me going at. Oh, and also the danger of being eaten. And also, I don't like guns. So I think that pretty much sums it up. What about you, Boat?
Now, no. For all the reasons that you mentioned.
Yeah.
Just the idea of going out into the wilderness and stalking a wild animal that could easily rip you to shreds.
Yeah.
That doesn't fill me with delight.
No good.
Now,
No good.
I do have a follow-up question though. Aside from the sort of questionable morality of trophy hunting, if you could have an animal stuffed in your living space, right there in the living room, right beside that weird fortune teller machine you've got, what would you like?
I'm not going to lie. I'm kind of like you. Like, should you go out and, say, shoot an elephant? Probably not.
Probably not.
But if one had already been shot and someone was like, hey, Aaron, would you like this elephant stuffed? But yeah. But, I mean, if I'm going to pick something to be stuffed and, like, you mean like a whole animal or just the head?
Right. You can take it either way.
I wouldn't mind
whole animal.
I'd like to have one of those lion pelt rugs, with the head still sort of attached.
Right.
I'd also like, because they look comfy. I would also like to have one of like a stuffed, like a panther or something. That's something you don't see every day, like up on your wall. Like make it look like it's coming out of like a shadow realm. Like maybe get the little paws stuck to it, like it's jumping out of the wall. I think I'd go with that.
Yeah, those good choices. I would like to have a leopard skin rug or a lion skin, anything with a head on it. Although the bear skin rug, it's been done. I don't want the bear skin.
I don't want bear because we got bears in West Virginia. We don't have lions and panthers and crap. That's what I want.
I'd really like to have a big old bull moose. Just a large bull moose. Hey, I'll tell you why. Hat
with
rack.
The antlers and stuff. Yeah. Those are
hat
cool.
And coat rack.
Yeah. That's not the worst. But again, we've got those in North America. I want to get some crap I've never seen because no one's expecting that. When you come into a house. But yeah, that'd be a good choice too. But
how about a stuffed sugar glider that you could hang by wires, like people hang up their model planes?
Those things are super tiny and cute. No, I don't want that.
Doing like one of those deals?
No, I don't want a sugar glider. How long would it take to start? How much would that cost?
I don't know. Do they charge by the pound? I don't know how it works.
I don't know either. I said people have squirrels and stuff. I've seen people that have those stuffed. But then it's I go outside and see squirrels everywhere. I don't need a stuffed one.
Would you ever consider stuffing one of your cats when its time comes?
No, because somehow, even from the grave, that thing would shed all over the house, and I can't get. So yeah, I could stuff it with all the hair at least behind it any given day. So no, I don't think so. That would be also upsetting because I love my babies.
Yeah. Well, Aaron, let's talk about Jungle Hunt.
Oh man, Yeah.
So Jungle Hunt, this thing came out in 1982 in
This
the
thing.
arcades.
This thing, that's when it came out.
Now, the Jungle Hunt that we see before us is not the Jungle Hunt that appeared in arcades, because the Jungle Hunt did not appear in arcades at first. It came out as Jungle King. That's right, Jungle King. Jungle King featured everybody's favorite guy that lives in the jungle, Tarzan. Of course, it was never explicitly named as Tarzan, but there were several features that made the game Tarzan-like. For one, your guy was wearing your patented Tarzan loin pelt that he always wears around.
The one piece over the shoulder number.
And two, when he jumped, he gave the old Tarzan yell. Is there an official name for that?
Well, he only did that at the beginning of the first level, or when he finished a level, he would do it too. Yeah, that's the old Tarzan yell. Hey, Carol Burnett did it. You know, I remember when this came out in the arcade, I was playing this sucker. It was awesome. And by the way, I've never been able to find this anywhere. I distinctly remember playing a version of this game that was called Tarzan, complete with marquee.
Wow.
I've never found any evidence of that, so it could have been the fever dream of a young idiot. But this game was cool when it came out. Excuse me. And, of course, when you use Tarzan, the estate of Edgar Rice Burroughs would like to have a word with you, Boat.
That's right.
When you're trying that crap. And they dropped a hammer all over Tato. They were like, we're not having that. And
they threatened to sue in much the same way that Universal tried to sue Nintendo for the Donkey Kong. But in this case, Taito bowed to their demands and withdrew the game and republished it as Jungle Hunt. Now, Aaron, what do you think about the repurposing of your Tarzan character as your Jungle Hunter?
Listen, I don't get a problem with it. In fact, in a lot of ways, it kind of makes more sense, maybe. It seems like Tarzan would have a better rapport with like the natives than this guy would. So at the end, when they're trying to cook your girlfriend, I could see where this guy would be more angry, and it would make more. And they don't want to care. They don't want to hear to this guy. I mean, they've got to know that Tarzan's all man. But look at this geek. They don't think look at him. He comes up with the pith helmet. They're not going to listen to him. So it makes more sense to me. I didn't have a problem with the switch over, to be honest with you.
Yeah. Now it's interesting. You would think that that Taito would take this opportunity to create a new character. Heck, they've got to come up with a non-Tarzan guy. Why not give this guy a snappy name? You know, something like Hard Hat Harry. Pitfall Jim, something like that.
Does he have a name, Bo?
He does not have a name. Or if he has a name, it was not communicated in the documentation of the Atari 8-bit game.
I never heard one.
The only background that you get is you and your traveling companion were enjoying a leisurely jungle safari when suddenly you were accosted by two savage cannibals. Now they've spirited away your lady friend and plan to cook her up for supper. You'd better rescue her quickly, or your sweetie will soon be stew. Yeah.
That's a classic. That's a classic plot from back in the day. If you listen to old radio shows like I do, the jungles were crawling with these cannibalistic natives, apparently.
Yeah.
Because you don't hear much about that these days, but back in those days, all the time.
Yeah. Now, the Atari 8-bit version of Jungle Hunt was developed by I think it was actually also developed by Taito.
Taito of America. Yeah,
Taito of America. So this was kept in house. I don't have any credits on file for this that I couldn't
find any either.
But it is like I said, it was released in December of 1983. That much is sure. So this came out just 1 year after the arcade version, so pretty quick turnaround.
Yeah,
and this is your classic multi-stage arcade game. You've got 4 different stages. The first stage features your jungle hunter swinging from vines as he attempts not to fall to his doom. The second stage, he has to jump into a tropical lake, possibly a tropical portion of the ocean.
I always thought it was a river.
It's
jungle
hard to
river.
know because you've got coral growing there, and I think coral only grow in the sea.
Maybe it's a saltwater river.
Yeah, it's one of those. Yeah, you never know. So anyway, you've got to contend with staying. You got to keep your breath. As you dive, you run out of oxygen. Plus, you've also got these killer crocodiles that are after you. You also have to deal with jellyfish that emerge from the depths and try and entrap you. So there are hazards all around.
Now, I've always, in fact, in the arcade, those weren't jellyfish; those were air bubbles.
Oh,
and they would come up, and you would get caught in them. I think those are air bubbles.
Oh, I always thought they were jellyfish, but I bet you $100 you're correct. So
I'll take that bet.
Yeah. So anyway, you move on. You dry off, and then it's time to negotiate the slight inclined hill. That's right. The ultimate challenge. Well, listen, they must have the rock slide to end all rock slides, because as you traverse this thing, you get just this never-ending pile of rocks that slowly descend from the top of the screen in a bouncing fashion, just like trying to catch a grounder when you're playing second base.
Yeah.
You've got to jump over these things at just the right time to finally make it to the final stage, where you have to outwit the cannibals by jumping over their spears to rescue your lady friend before she's lowered into the cauldron.
Yeah, and you can't touch the natives, the spears, or the fire on the cauldron, You've got to touch just the girl.
Now, Aaron, did I miss anything in my exposition of the stages there?
No, I think you nailed it pretty good. This is your, Tato was responsible for your Moon Patrol, as I recall. This game reminds me of Moon Patrol a lot. It's different stages that have different things going on. This is more advanced, I guess. But I like the fact that they mix up the gameplay in this. The vines, I mean, some of this stuff is like you would see the parts of this game in other games for years. Mm-hmm. Like the underwater meter thing. Oh, thank you, Buck. Moon Patrol from IREM. But you have you've got the vine aspect of this. A lot of people got used the vines in their games, and this right here was a great implementation. The swimming, they did a good job. The last two levels, which I would contend are the toughest, the rock level and the cannibal level. It's funny, in the arcade I don't have too much trouble with the cannibals, but in this version I had a lot more trouble. The rock level on the 8-bit version I found particularly difficult, Boat. Because the rocks are kind of harder to judge, and sometimes if you're not playing your cards right, you'll get a double rock when you get, because in the arcade you've got the normal rocks, and in occasionally this huge rock will come out, and you can duck the rock and get extra points. But in this one, the rocks doesn't bounce quite as high, and it's hard to, like you said, with a grounder, there's a lot of bad hops on this thing that are tough to negotiate. If you just hit your fire button, your guy will jump, but if you hold up, I notice he goes a lot higher. Did you notice that when you were playing it?
I did not know that. That would have made a huge difference.
Yeah, because it's hard to jump over this stuff when you're on that level. And I couldn't figure out why I wasn't getting much air. And so I started holding up with the joystick, and I was getting more air. But that level is a lot tougher, I thought. And then the last level, that jump between the last cannibal and your girlfriend is not an easy jump to make, man. Yeah. It's a tough jump. I found this game very difficult. I would say I'm a pretty good hand in the arcade at this game. This version I thought was more difficult. What did you think? How did you fare?
This game has 3 different levels of difficulty. You've got regular, advanced, or beginner. And when you play on the regular or advanced levels, you get 3 lives. When you play as a beginner, you get 6. So they do give you a little bit of slack there if you choose the beginner level, but I did think that this game was much harder than the arcade version, and you don't get that a lot with ports. A lot of times,
it's the opposite.
Are easier, yeah. Another thing we didn't mention is that on the higher levels, as we're watching right now, monkeys appear on the vines. And,
I hate those guys.
Yeah, you have to wait for the monkey to kind of get out of your way. The manual calls the air bubbles Mysterious Murk. Murk. I think I knew a guy called Mysterious Murk.
The Mysterious Murk, something that's a little bit different in the arcade as well. It's like a wall of murk. in the home version here. In the
Mhm.
arcade, there's not as much. It's not like a full-on wall of crud that comes up. I mean, this stuff gets in your way like a barricade almost. And if you get caught in one of these air bubbles, your guy's discombobulated for a few seconds, and you can be sure a gator or a croc is coming up to get you. I thought the graphics on the water level were nice. They did a good job on the bottom part of the river. I thought the gators looked good. In fact, overall, I found the graphics of this to be a pleasant surprise. What did you think?
Yeah, and I think that the scoring is actually pretty sophisticated too. We're talking about this water level. Depending on where you stab the crocodile and what its position is, you get different amounts of points. So if you stab a crocodile with open jaws near the surface, you get 200 points. If you stab them with open jaws near the river bottom, you get 300. So if you're looking to point press on this game, you want to get your crocs when they're down at the bottom, and stab them. Of course, it's a lot more difficult to do that. You get the big points. Same thing when you're on the boulder level. If you run under a boulder, you get 50 points. But if you're able to actually duck the boulder, you get twice that. You get 100 points. And of course, jumping a boulder gets you 200. So this is an interesting game to play for high score. Obviously, you're going to see everything the game has to offer pretty quickly. But it's the looping and the this really reminds me of that CoCo classic Canyon Bomber, don't you think?
I never thought of it that way, to be honest with you. I will say I think the scoring was consistent across from the arcade, because I remember, like, for example, you're talking about ducking the big rock.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you could run under it for points, and ducking it would give you more points. And the same thing with the gators. So I think they did a pretty good job by the arcade in terms of the scoring. I think if you compare, as we're looking at the comparison screen again between the arcade and the home version, I think there's a lot to enjoy here. I mean, some of these 8-bit ports, let's face facts, but they didn't exactly try to kill it. You know what I'm saying, when they were pulling them across. Mm-hmm. And I think they really excelled themselves. Maybe it's because Tato America was involved in doing the port, but I think it's a pretty good effort. I mean, I would not have been disappointed, because Jungle Hunt got ported to everything. Everything got it. And it was mixed results, but I mean, this is one. If I'd played this at home, I would be totally stoked to play it. I mean, I liked everything about it. Even the monkeys make the weird noise, when you're on there. But they did a lot of stuff right, so I thought it was dandy.
Yeah, this thing shipped for the Apple II, the 2600, the 5200, the ColecoVision, the C64, had a PC booter disc, the TI got it, and the VIC. So this thing was all over the place.
Yeah, this was a big... Hey, when this came out in the arcade, I could tell you, like, we loved it. I was always playing this game. I thought it was real fun. Those games in the early days where you got the different level changes and stuff, that was, I mean, again, it seems like nothing now, but at the time, you're like, wow, it's like playing 2 or 3 games in one. Pretty cool, And this one, they had a good theme to it as well. It made it fun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Now, there was Atari did win, or they did offer a contest, Aaron. This was the Jungle Hunt and Kangaroo $100,000 Atari Safari sweepstakes. Okay. All you have to do is fill out. This was no challenge was involved. All you have to do is fill out this entry card and send in your wins, or send in your card, and you could win. If you won first prize, Aaron, you won a Canon AE1 35mm camera, some lenses, a custom carrying bag. Oh, I thought you were actually going to win. Oh, yeah. And it says win a camera safari for 4 to your choice to Africa or Australia. So that was the grand prize. That's a big deal, man.
It's funny, when you first started, I thought you were going to say you won a Canon. I was like, holy cow, that's awesome. But yeah, that'd be great. A safari, where would you go, by the way, Africa or Australia?
Oh, I would probably go to Australia, because I'd stop by and see all our buddies while I was down there.
I don't know. It's hard to pass up an African safari, though. I don't know. That'd be tough. It'd be a tough choice. That's a great. I wonder if there's any documentation on who won that and what.
Well, I was just wondering that, because the second prize was you could win an Atari Safari Big Game Watch, which was one of those Game & Watch games.
Yeah.
And then third prize, you could win one of 5,000 Atari Safari duffel bags. I wonder how many of those Atari Safari duffel bags are still out there.
Yeah, that's neat.
Yeah.
That shows you the kind of jack this game was bringing to the table, where they were willing to put in the money to really get it going.
Yeah. So that is sort of wraps up our coverage of Jungle Hunt, but we got some killer reviews from our Discord channel. Jocko6502 starts off. He says, Jungle King lived in one of my local arcades when I was younger, and whilst I often stared into its glowing screen, it never persuaded me to part with my coins. And even through emulation, I can probably count the number of times I've played it. The Atari 8-bit version of Jungle Hunt is one of its better ports. Sound and graphics are good. All the levels are present, and it's quite playable. It's a slightly infuriating game both at home and in the arcade, but it doesn't actually take long to get good enough at the game to get to the end. Sadly, like many games of the time, there isn't much to Jungle Hunt, and I don't know if there's a strategy to get a super high score, but it's just not one that really grabs me. Worth checking out, but not a keeper. 7 out of 10. And Steve writes, it's the age-old story. Man gets girl, man loses girl, man swings across ropes, fights crocodiles, jumps over rolling rocks, all to rescue girl from cooking pot, and does it again. I'd never heard of Jungle Hunt before. Somehow passed me by. I was pleased to get to the rocks on my first attempt. More forgiving than most early 80s fare. The graphics and sound were nice, but the game loop seemed limited and not really manic enough to become exciting. 6 out of 10. I will say this, speaking to Steve's review, when you compare this game to a game like Donkey Kong or Donkey Kong Jr., it's much easier to loop Jungle Hunt. You can the difficulty level is much less. However, I don't think anybody would say Jungle Hunt is a better game than Donkey Kong or Donkey Kong.
I would say that it's even a game like you mentioned a minute ago, Kangaroo was harder than this.
Oh yeah, I've still never looped Kangaroo.
That's part of the fun of it, though. You know, this game had a lower entry. Sometimes you need a game like this where you don't feel like a dork when you're playing it, so you can actually have a good go of it. And this game, a lot of this game was built on the fact that it looked great. It was bringing something different to the table, and it had a great theme, and that went a long way.
I think before I said Canyon Bomber, but I was thinking a Canyon Climber.
Yeah, because I was baffled when you said that, but
I was like, how could you not see that? But then I realized I said the wrong thing. But this is, to me, because I don't think the CoCo did the CoCo get Jungle Hunt or Jungle King in some guide.
I believe it did get a one of its classic CoCo clone-arinis. Mm-hmm. We'll have to look into that.
But yeah, that's what this reminded me of, because it's that multi-stage sort of like, going into the jungle type thing. Although you do blow up a bridge in Canyon Climber, so you don't get to do that in Jungle Hunt.
Yeah, fair enough.
All right, so we come to the end, Aaron. It's time to bid a fond farewell to Jungle Hunt. If you like the show, if you want us to do more of them, please leave us a comment on YouTube. We don't have a Patreon set up for this show. We kind of just do this because we like doing it, but we don't want to do it every month because sometimes we can't. But we do it when we can, because gosh darn it, we love the Atari 8-bit. You can listen to the audio version of this at bit.ly/1200XL. We record the show live on our Twitch channel, twitch.tv/Amigos Retro Gaming. If you like this format, you want to hear more of what we have to say, you can check out our Amiga podcast, Amigos. We do a show about the ZX Spectrum called our Sinclair, the CoCo Show, and of course, ARG Presents, where you and your brother spin the wheel and make the deal. All of those links are in the show notes. Aaron, what are we going to be playing next time on 1200XL?
Let's have a look, Boat. We're going back to the jungle, Boat.
Back to the jungle. I like it. Congo Bongo. This is one of the early 3D isometric titles, right?
Yes, it sure is. I was looking for something for us to look at, and I was inspired by Jungle Hunt. And when I looked around, it's amazing all the stuff we've done. I could not find any notice that we'd ever covered this on any show.
Weird.
And so Congo Bongo is one that was quite a unique effort when it was released in the arcade. So I thought it'd be fun to look at on the 8-bit.
Absolutely. Cool. Well, thank you all so much for watching or listening. We'll see you next time, and make sure you play
your Atari today.